You might like the movie Halloween, but here's a bunch of people who hated it. This movie was terrible. It wasn't even scary. An 8-year-old kid watched this with me and he wasn't scared. That is how awful this movie is. It is a complete joke. Don't waste your time with it. Maybe the second one will be better. I mean, yeah, it's 2015 when you watch this with an 8-year-old. Things have changed. Now it's just more of a nostalgic thing. But it was terrifying back when it came out. Promise you that.
This movie is dumb to me. Running around half naked all outdoors at night. Who does that? Too much sexual content to get the viewer's attention. When you're looking for something scary, you don't want to see a bimbo in her underwear. That's like the entire genre. That's like most of the horror genre. Even the movie Psycho is one of the first times they showed a woman in her underwear. That was actually shocking for then. Did you see Hostel? The first half of that movie was straight up porn.
Woody Allen has finally given birth for us a horror movie. What? Surgery would seem too clinical and sterile, plus it is missing the hate Orwell wrote about. So what is left to do is to make a movie like Halloween. The critics talk about the suspense in the movie, whether it is frightening or not. It is hard to determine whether they have fully embraced today's newspeak or clinically mentally retarded denzians of the lower case that Orwell wrote about. Everybody knows or should have realized by now that Jason's function in the movie is that of the executioner. Hollywood has promoted him, promoted his gross acts of extreme prejudice against the human race, and the audience has responded in a way that Hollywood wants but is not clinically, psychologically, or sociologically ethical or appropriate. A counter example would be, what if no one was killed in a Halloween sequel? Would any critic find it possible that there could be any quote-unquote suspense? Those well-versed in newspeak would undoubtedly answer yes and not give it a second thought. Who the f*** are you?
Sometimes college is higher learning, sometimes it's whatever the f*** that was. This movie is lame by today's standards. F*** you! Kinda.
Halloween, it rhymed with boreen. Too bloody slow. I was yawning and feeling uber bored with it. Is it cult but boring? Nothing really happens but a few chicks die and that's it. It rhymed with boreen. Is that a word? Is that a word? I'm gonna find out if that's a word. Boreen. Oops, that's too many E's. Boreen is a word. A narrow country road. Good job. I have no punchline.
Halloween. The narrow country road of movies. Aliens are scarier. These masked guys are just fake. There have been psychotic, homicidal maniacs. We don't all collectively believe in aliens. I don't know. What?
This is probably the worst movie I have ever seen. If you want to watch a movie where the phone rings in every scene, this is the movie for you. I thought that was Scream. This is about a kid that goes to rehab after killing a girl, blah, blah, blah. The point is, it's crap. I mean, douchey is as douchey writes, I guess. Doesn't the phone ring in almost every scene in, like, Die Hard with the Vengeance and Phone Booth? Surprisingly not in Booty Call.
I saw it. It's not scary at all, even. A kid can watch it. It's comedy movie on my opinion. Man, spaces in between sentences, and then it's comedy movie on my opinion. I'm gonna give you a pass, because I'm pretty sure English isn't your first language, for sure. But to say a kid could watch it, I mean, a kid could pretty much watch anything, unless they're blind. And then, I guess they could just listen to it, which would make it really boring.
Not sure why this is considered so great. Boring and cliche, maybe it started those cliches, which means I am watching it in the wrong time. But it also means it did not stand the test of time. Yeah, it started them. That's why they are what they are now. So, you're right. I'll give you a pass too, even though English is your first language.
Kind of overrated in my opinion. There's not much of an actual story here. Just a bunch of random slasher killings. You do realize that this is one of the films that created the slasher genre, right? So, if there weren't a bunch of slasher killings and a whole shit ton of plot, it would just be drama. Just a nice little story about the holiday of Halloween. No killings. Not one.
Review in a nutshell. It's so hard to take a film seriously when the victim drops the knife twice and the hunter lacks accuracy in close proximity stabbing. And you want realism in a horror movie? You're acting like you're trying to watch, like, American Assassin. Are you in the military? No. No, you're not.
8/5/2017. Thank you for that, by the way. Horrible! I don't understand the high ratings. Was it considered good in the 70s/80s? Boring is the best word I could use to describe this film. Yeah, it was considered really good in the 70s and 80s. People liked it a lot. You probably found this on a list or looked at it because people were talking about it, saying you should watch it. So, you probably knew the answer to that.
I don't care if it's a classic. This movie is god-awful. Acting is terrible, and the soundtrack is annoying. It's one of the most recognized soundtracks ever. How is that annoying? I know what it is. It sucks.
For its time, it was probably scary, but drags on with the slow-moving killer. You know, not to sound like a guy going kids these days, but kids these days. Instant gratification, man. Holy crap. Also, it's really funny that, you know, you have a movie that's somewhat slow or a movie that's kind of long, and everybody's like, okay, it's too long, it's too slow. But then you'll binge watch 24 episodes of Netflix in a day. None of this makes any fucking sense. I mean, I do it too.
This really isn't as good as they say. I've seen it 3 times now, each time desperately wanting to get something out of it, but I just couldn't. I feel sorry for saying this, but it is a bad movie. One of those terrible classics like Titanic or Grease. Don't believe the hype. I mean, I don't like Titanic, but both of those movies are iconic. So is Halloween. Do you just not like movies? I mean, you watched it 3 times. I appreciate your commitment. But if you don't like movies, why put yourself through that torture?
Don't believe the hype. Is there an echo? Didn't you just say that? This movie sucks. Nobody dies after the opening kill scene. Until an hour in, the kills were also bloodless. The body count was low and some of the characters were a bit stupid. So as I said, don't believe the hype for this movie. This movie is bullshit. This was written in 2016 and you watched a movie from 1978. So, why were you looking for 2016 gore? Probably not what you should do. So what you should have done while you're watching this movie is put down your Atari 2600 controller, put on your platforms, and head off to the discotheque. Because clearly you think it's 1978.
Being lucky enough to be the first to capture this film title should have put an additional pressure on John Carpenter to make a film that merits being shown around the world on October 31st for decades to come. He did. He accomplished that. Instead of dabbling with ghosts, monsters, and the supernatural, which can be scary sometimes, he did a formulaic thriller about a serial killer slowly attempting to kill the main characters as they creep around their house with the lights off. A waste of a good title. Yeah, he did exactly that, and people fucking love it. And it's not formulaic if it hadn't really been done yet. Little stick in your bicycle wheel right there for you.
In a world where killers stare at their hands while stabbing people, where people can't unlock doors from the inside, and where phones don't work during a chase scene just because, Halloween attempts to build suspense and characters, but the plot is thin, the acting is dull, and the film resorts to the lazy jump scares. I mean, part of the terror is the fact that the phone doesn't work and you don't know why. And that the person can't open the door and you don't know why. There might be a reason that you don't know why. That's part of the thing. You want everything explained to you? This is gonna ruin it. I mean, if you want everything explained to you, you must have loved the second and third Matrix movie. Ugh.
Rob Zombie's Vestian is beta. I'm assuming you mean version or vision. Either way, that is exactly correct. It is the second version.
Thank you guys so much for watching. If it's your first time here, hit the subscribe button and the little bell right next to it. Click that like button to let us know you like the video. If you want to see another one of ours, you can click one of the ones on the screen right in front of your face. And until we see you next time, geek out and game on.